Hello my beautiful friends, I am so glad you clicked on this video and you are joining me today. Obviously the title has you intrigued. Yes, we are going to discuss whether a vegan / plant-based diet is more expensive than a carnivore or other diet. This is the age-old question. If you guys are new here, my name is Vicki-Lynne. I am so glad you are here. I am on a journey to get healthy, lose some weight, lower my cholesterol, and just move my body every day. If that interests you, I hope you subscribe. I always have amazing recipes. I have a lot of recipes from, again, a long time ago. I probably have 300 recipes and stuff on this website. Some of them are vegan, some of them are plant-based. So let's get into that little debate first, what the difference is. So somebody who is vegan basically eats a vegan diet, which means nothing with a face, nothing that poops, or any byproducts from that. And veganism is basically a lifestyle. So you're not wearing leather, you're not wearing wool, you're following that. But a vegan also can eat plant-based. I know, it gets very confusing. So somebody who eats on a plant-based diet basically prefers to eat with less processed foods, and they're basically sticking to the fruits, vegetables, legumes, seeds, nuts, that kind of thing. But they're not necessarily vegan because they may eat that way but still wear leather or something like that. So, you know what, like 95% of the time, 90% of the time, we'll just be honest, 90% of the time I am plant-based. I eat whole food plant-based diet. But I do also eat a vegan diet because sometimes when you're out and about, and I love doing my restaurant reviews, and you know what, there's not a lot of plant-based restaurants that don't cook with a lot of oil, because I do follow the starch solution, or I try to follow the starch solution. And again, sometimes I'm not perfect. You know, I put coconut on overnight oats and go, somebody mentioned that to me, and I'm like, I had no idea that that wasn't allowed on the starch solution. So again, we're all on a learning journey. And I appreciate those people who tell me, you know, that come up and go, hey, and so it was actually on our Facebook group. So I do have a Facebook group. Come down and join. And don't forget, subscribe. Like, you'll want to see my other videos because I'm always doing meal preps, grocery hauls, all that fun stuff for you, and some quick, easy recipes. And I do like to switch non-vegan dishes into vegan dishes. My husband is not vegan or plant-based. He does eat a lot of this food, but he still does partake in a meat here and there, whatever. And that's his journey. So, you know, no comments below. Again, we all have our own journeys. We all do it in our own time frame. So that is kind of, in a nutshell, the difference between a vegan and a plant-based. And again, I'm like more plant-based with very little oil. But again, I don't do that 100% of the time. If I am out and about, if we're eating somewhere, I'm not going to freak over one dish or something that may be just vegan and not plant-based. I'm okay with that. And I'm okay with some of the, the soy products or the soy curls once in a while. Again, you do your journey. I'm going to do my journey. And sometimes it just is actually more convenient. And I know I could pack things, and I normally do. When I travel, I do pack a lot of my own food. I bring a lot of stuff with me. But here we go. So we're going to talk about if eating a vegan / plant-based diet is actually economical. The long and the short of it is, it can be. It can be super economical, and it all depends on where you fall between vegan and plant-based. And I do have some notes, so I am going to put my glasses on just because I don't want to miss anything. And I want to try to keep it nice and short, so I'm not repeating myself too much. We're going to talk about vegans. So if you're eating a vegan diet and you're replacing stuff with processed meats, like the Beyond Burgers, the Impossible Burgers, the frozen fish, or fish, whatever you want to call it, any of those, if you're trying to mimic what you used to have, then yes, buying those ultra processed replacements are expensive. guaranteed. It'll be as expensive as if you were eating meat. I mean, I'm sure it's still cheaper than eating meat. Because I guess, you know, all the prices, I haven't looked at, and I'll be perfectly honest, I have not looked at meat prices in I don't know how long, to be perfectly honest. But it is going to be more expensive if you're trying to replace it, you know, for what you're used to. But here's the thing. If that's what you're doing at the beginning of your journey, you will slowly learn that you know, to feel more healthy, especially for me, like I'm trying to watch my cholesterol and lower my cholesterol naturally. And I do have a video for that. I'll put that one up here for you. After a while, when you start maybe going more towards plant-based or not using the mock meats and all of the replacements, you will notice that if you do eat a plant-based diet, it is way cheaper. I mean, there is nothing cheaper than getting a bag of rice and a bag of beans and having rice and beans with whatever else you want to put. That fills you up. That's nutritionally sound. You're getting a full protein and everything. There's nothing, honestly, there's nothing cheaper. Nothing will come cheaper than that. Also depends on where you live. Grocery prices are different everywhere. I'm in Canada, I'm in Mexico, I am in the States. All the prices are different, no matter where you are. And I kind of pick and choose, depending on where I am, what I'm eating. I always try to go with first what's in season. Whatever's in season is going to be way cheaper than whatever's not in season, because they are trucking that food from South America, from Africa, from wherever. They are trucking that food in, shipping that food in. Of course, it's going to be more expensive always. So if you're able to eat in season, then that's the first place to go. Like, don't be going looking for corn on the cob in February. I'm just telling you right now, one, it's not going to be good because it's way out of season, and two, you're going to pay the price for it, and so you have to figure it out. Now, two, buy frozen vegetables, frozen fruit. It is picked at the peak of freshness and frozen. So it depends on what you're using it for, but we stock our fridge and freezer with frozen items because you don't have a time frame on when you have to use them like you do with fresh. Especially if you like, I travel a little bit and you know, I don't want things to go bad all the time. Frozen is your go-to, and it is going to be so much cheaper. If you're looking for actually I have a perfect example, mangoes. We get a 5-pound bag of frozen mangoes at Costco for $9.59. Now, for the amount of that, and we also at our Mexican store can get a case of mangoes, which is normally 8 or 9, usually 8, I think. For the lowest price we've ever had it is like $6.99, $5.99 on occasion. Now it's like $6.99, $7.99 because everything is going up. But when you process that amount of mango, what you're actually left with is probably like a pound or so, maybe 2 pounds. So we don't even bother anymore. We just get the frozen, and if we want to just eat mango, we just defrost it and eat it. It's absolutely delicious. But again, that way you always have frozen stuff in your freezer, and you can always make something. Again, we switch up. We make overnight oats almost every day, and we switch it up all the time on what the different flavors are. So that's why we have frozen blueberries and frozen strawberries and pineapple and mango and whatever else. Now, lesson 3 is buy in bulk. If you can buy in bulk, you are going to save a ton of money. And again, this also depends on where you shop and whether or not they have bulk items. But again, you can do, I mean, you can go to bulk stores where you can just pick how much you want of everything. That is super cheap. So I noticed, like in Canada, we have the bulk barn. When I moved down here, there's very few, there is none. There's no stores that are just bulk stores that I've found in Chicago. Anyway, you could go to Whole Foods and they have stuff that you can, you know, put in a bag yourself. Absolutely. That's still cheaper even at Whole Foods. But in Canada, we're super lucky. We have the bulk store, and it has everything from like vegan creamer to vegan chicken bouillon, whatever. And that makes things super, super economical for sure. If you're buying in bulk, 100%. I mean, you can go to Costco and buy, let me see, what do I have here? A 25-pound bag of long grain rice. Okay, this is white. They also have brown. I'm just giving you examples. And it's $10.99. That's almost, depending on how big your family is, that's probably like a year's worth, or at least half a year for 10 bucks. And if you're getting dried beans and you're using your Instant Pot, again, super economical. Again, buying in larger quantities, buying larger bags of frozen stuff, you're obviously going to save money, and that's where it's all about, is saving money, because I am budget friendly. I love to have a deal all the time, and I do make my meal plans to whatever is on sale or in season for the most part. The fifth thing would be meal prep. Now, if you've been here for a while, you know I love meal prepping. And I do my meal in different ways depending on what's going on and who's around. I always do a meal prep every week, and I do small preps here and there when I have a few minutes. To be honest, I'll whip up my cheese sauce while I'm watching TV or doing up a recipe or whatever. And I also do like my grocery haul, and when I come home, I process everything when I get home, and I have already decided what I'm kind of making before I go for groceries. So then the next day, and I don't try to do everything in one day, because I do find it very tiring to like do groceries and prep those foods and then like do my meal prep. So I try to come home and clean whatever needs to be cleaned and kind of get that settled. And then the next day I will do my meal prep, get everything settled. But when I do my meal prep, I also do, sometimes I just do components that I can mix and match for the whole week, and you can just blend a few things together and then you have a plate. And again, I also eat super simple, and a lot of times it's some type of potato and some type of non-starchy veg, because I do like to try to keep it at a 50-50 plate. And then I also do a couple of, say, casseroles or something. That way, or other dishes like chili or a big soup or whatever. That way I have things that I can mix and match, so I can have soup one day for my lunch, but have soup for supper the next day, make some of my homemade bread. Again, meal prepping can be batch cooking. You can just make big batches of things while you're cooking and then freeze a couple. So if you're making a chili, first of all, making a chili, you're already going to have like any recipe. I'm sorry, any recipe of chili serves 12 people, I'm sure, all the time. It doesn't matter. It's just the way it is. So you can just like, you know, make your chili, divide it in 3 or 2, and then that way you're not going to get sick of it, but you're going to have stuff in your freezer. Also, expert tip, always label and date what you've put in there. That it's chili, you're not going to remember. I have so many things in my freezer that if I didn't have them labeled, I wouldn't know. I always make my own vegetable stock from using my scraps. I'll hook that one up there for you also. That stock cost me like $0 to make my stock, and I put it in ice cube trays. And when I want to saute something, instead of sauteing in water, I saute in vegetable broth. I just throw a couple of ice cubes in my pan. Very easy. You're adding flavor to it. Again, water sauteing, you're not adding any flavor, but if you are, if you're using your veggie stock that you made for free. And it's just a matter of using everything until there's no more use for it. You know what I mean? If you have leftover bread, cut it up, make croutons. Use it as a thickener in your soups. Blend it in the food processor. Make breadcrumbs. You don't have to buy breadcrumbs. I always like to be thinking, and just because you want to do it or you don't think you have enough time, it doesn't have to be done right that minute. If you have extra bread, throw it in the freezer until you're ready to deal with it. Take it out, let it dry on the counter, and then blend it up and make your breadcrumbs. There's different ways of meal prepping, whether you batch cook or you do individual meals or you do little containers that are all the same for the whole week. It all depends on your way of wanting to eat. Some people are okay eating the same thing for supper every night. My husband would never be, because he can't have the same thing for lunch that he had the night before for supper. But he'll skip a day. There's always challenges. So definitely meal prep, and you can just do short meal preps. Like take 5 or 10 minutes here or there when things are quiet and just do something. Put on your vegetable scraps and make your soup stock. You don't have to babysit that. Put that in your Instant Pot, hit the soup button, and 40 minutes later, your soup stock will be ready. Let it cool. Either put it in a container, put it in the fridge, or put it in the freezers and label it and date it so you know when you want to go make a batch of soup, you can just pull out your soup stock. Also try shopping at ethnic grocery stores. I always find that the prices are much cheaper than standard grocery stores. A great way to find new spices or the spices that you're looking for, because if you check out my recipes, I have a wide variety of different spices from basically kind of every category, because we love trying different things. We love different spices. We like Ethiopian, we like Indian, we like Mexican, we like Italian, we like everything. And I have a ton of spices, and I do. And that's okay, because whenever I want to make something, and I only buy like a spice here or there, but they last, 6 months to a year, depending on what. And the other thing is don't also run around from store to store if it's just easier to get it on Amazon. That is my next tip. Also, make it easy for yourself and don't stress yourself over. I live in Chicago, and I live in downtown Chicago, basically. So for me, a lot of the stores are way up in the suburbs. It's a trot. It's a drive. You have to plan correctly, because like this week, NASCAR is coming and a lot of the roads are closed, and it's just, traffic is congested. I would never go somewhere to buy anything this week. I'm not driving anywhere either, because it's just not conducive today. But if you can get stuff on Amazon, the prices are great. It's delivered to your door. Why not? Like, I don't go looking around for like tahini. I order it on Amazon. There's just no point, honestly. And same thing with a lot of other things. Amazon is super easy to find things. I mean, check my links below. I have a lot of my stuff, all my red curry paste, everything like that. Yes, we have Asian markets everywhere. Yeah, absolutely. But I'll tell you one thing. As much as I like going to those Asian markets, I don't like going to them on the weekends, because they're packed and it makes it very difficult to shop and read labels and make sure things are vegan. And that's the other thing that I love about Amazon is that, and again, this isn't sponsored, guys, but anybody who knows me, I wear the Amazon crown. And I'm sure there's a lot of people out there. So save yourself some time. Just order it on Amazon, have it delivered to your door, and you'll have enough to probably last you for a year or two, depending on what you're ordering. The next thing we're going to talk about is how much time and effort you're willing to put into things. And that comes with a cost. So if you're willing to get dry beans and put them in your Instant Pot and cook them in your Instant Pot, you are going to save a ton of money compared to buying cans. There's nothing wrong with cans. I have cans in my cupboard all the time as a quick fix. But if you really want, if you're on a really tight budget and you have a stove and a pot, cook your own beans. If you have an Instant Pot, even better. Just put your beans in there, cook them. They're always perfect. Cook a whole bag, and I take them and put them in individual, reusable, like plastic containers, silicone bags, and I lay them flat. I let them freeze that way, and then they can stand up. I can put them and organize them. And so basically when I do a pot of beans, I usually have 3 or 4 of the smaller bags that hold like 2 cups. If I do that, like say, I do them when I need to replace. So I'm like, oh, I'm taking out my last chickpea. I'm going to cook some more chickpeas that day. Let them cool, freeze them up. So the next time I always have them. And when they're flattened, they defrost way faster, or you can put them into some warm water and they're defrosted in 5 or 10 minutes. So then, of course, next would be like cans. If you're really busy and you still want to save money, but you don't even think you have the time to throw beans into a pot, then yes, use can. Eating canned beans is way better than eating a saturated meat or whatever, 100%. So you're still eating really healthy. Just make sure you rinse them really good, because some of them do have a lot of salt. You can get the salt free, you can get the PBA free. There's answers to everything, but when you start getting into all the free, it costs more and more money. And the other thing, just as a quick note, if you cook your beans in the Instant Pot, you actually don't have to soak them, because the pressure cooking does something to the bean. It actually helps and eliminates those gases, elements that will give you gas and whatever. So you don't actually have to soak them. But I mean, if you don't have an Instant Pot, then yes, you have to soak your beans, and you should soak them overnight, because it does help rinse them off again, clean, cook them in clean water again, and that's still going to help. And also remember, when you're starting a plant-based diet, do not overwhelm your body with a ton of fiber. If you are going from the standard diet of like meat and potatoes and a veg, don't overstress your body by eating like cups and cups of beans or kale, or any of those coniferous things, because they do cause a lot of gas and it can be super uncomfortable. You have to integrate those slowly. Honestly, and everybody is different. So if you have a really hard time with beans, start with 1 tablespoon a day. And I'm not even joking. This is, if you go to a doctor's, they will tell you, this is what health practitioners will tell you, neuropaths will tell you, start with like 1 tablespoon a day. Let your body get used to it. Then go up to 2 tablespoons after a week or so. Make sure you're drinking water. Make sure you're moving around. All important things. Okay, you can go to Costco and buy, let me see, what do I have here? A 25-pound bag of long grain rice. Okay, this is white. They also have brown. I'm just giving you examples. And it's $10.99. That's almost, depending on how big your family is, that's probably like a year's worth, or at least half a year, for $10. And if you're getting dried beans and you're using your Instant Pot, again, super economical. Again, buying in larger quantities, buying larger bags of frozen stuff, you're obviously going to save money, and that's where it's all about, is saving money. Okay, so now let's talk about some of the staples. Now I just have some notes about cost on this, so I just kind of want to have this open so I can give it. So again, in my house, and everybody's house is going to be different, you want to have like the basics. So again, it's probably not your first time here. If it is your first time, I'm so glad you're here. Thanks for watching. Thanks for still being here in this part of the video. And if you are still here, then comment down below oatmeal, because we're going to talk about that. We eat basically overnight oats almost every morning. My husband is now the overnight oats king. And I'm very happy about that, because he never ate oatmeal before, and now he's making the overnight oats. So it's been a little transition, and he absolutely loves it. We switch up the flavors all the time. We buy a big bag of rolled oats at Costco for, I believe it's $7 for, I forget, 5 or 6 pounds, whatever it is. It's a great deal. We also buy the quick oats, because we like to mix our oats half and half, because it makes them more creamy and super nice. That's just kind of what we do. You guys do whatever you want to do. But a bag of oats will feed a large family. If you're cooking it, it goes even farther. So the winter months, I do like cooking it a little bit more than having overnight oats. But that is a breakfast that, again, we never get tired of. We mix it up, and I obviously will put it in a bowl. He'll take his to work, but I put mine in the bowl, put a little nut butter on, slice up a banana, me and my pumpkin seeds, always for a little crunch. And that's a healthy breakfast for like pennies, honestly, pennies. So here are just some of the prices that I kind of looked over. So bananas are usually around 49 cents a pound, depending on where you go. That is at Aldi, I believe, but now I have noticed that the price has been creeping up to like 59 cents a pound. And then of course, if you're going to go, the other question is, do you buy organic or not? And that is a big debate, and I'm not going to really get into it. I think it's like your preference, but there is a list, the Dirty Dozen and the Clean 15, I think they call it. I can link those lists below. And so anything with me with a peeling on it, I don't always get organic, but I have been making banana bacon. That's right, I've been turning banana skins into bacon, and absolutely incredible. So now I do buy organic bananas, so because I'm using the peel. right? Like even though if you wash it or whatever, because it's organic, I like the peel because you basically scrape out the flesh and you use the peel to make banana bacon. So I also have that recipe up here. You can go and take a look at it. It's on a short, I believe. And I couldn't believe it. My husband couldn't believe it. I made it because I was going to debunk the whole it tastes like bacon, but I couldn't. It's absolutely delicious. Anywho, let's move on to a few others. Watermelon's usually about $1.25 a pound. Again, these are just in my area. Oranges will run you about $1.30 a pound, but I always buy in season and on special. So always look at the specials, and I might have things on my list, and when I get to the store, if something else will be on sale, and I'll just pivot on that. And I'm like, oh, I'm just gonna save. Like when apples are on sale, I save. Like that's when you need to look. Kale is like $1.70 a pound. Cabbage is super cheap, and it is always overlooked. I always like to braise my cabbage. I make cabbage steaks. I make coleslaw. Oh my God, what else do I make with cabbage? I use cabbage in my wraps. I use them on my tacos. Carrots are always super cheap. Again, a lot of the root vegetables are always super cheap. Of course, potatoes. Your potato queen is here. All rise, all bow to the potato queen. And again, I get my sweet potatoes for about 79 cents to 89 cents a pound. And then the potatoes, I'm getting big 10-pound bags at Aldi, usually for $3.99 or less. And same thing, I always have russets and Yukon Golds and sweet potatoes of different types. I even have my husband now on the sweet potatoes, just eating the Japanese ones as a snack, nice and cold. We just peel them and eat them. Nothing better. They're sweet, they're delicious, and super filling with minimal calories and no fat. Okay, legumes. We're back to the dryer canned. We're not going to go anywhere on that. We've already discussed that. We've already killed that one. We'll just continue on. I find that I will say I do find that the dried beans cooked taste better. My husband actually prefers the cans, but I think he's just being stubborn. Personally, don't tell him. Shh. But I don't think he knows the difference, obviously. Anyway, okay. Most lentils and beans are about $1.50 to $2 a pound, and it depends on where you go. You can go to the dollar store and get like a 1-pound bag or a 2-pound bag of lentils or something like that for like $1.25. And again, it's all depending on where you're buying them and if you're buying them in bulk. Oh, in Canada, they sell dried beans, and in the States they don't. So I'm not sure why, but they just don't. Anyway, so you can shop around and find the cheapest version at the biggest price. But I mean, you could go to Walmart. Even Target is their dried beans are actually very cheap. When I started going from store to store looking at the prices, I find Target an expensive store, at least here where I am, and the vegan variety is minimal. So I, shop online, Walmart, a bunch of different places, Aldi, whatever, wherever I am, whatever I get. But Aldi has a lot of beans. They're super cheap also. So with your lentils, you can make flatbreads out of them. I've made waffles. Oh, I'll connect that one up here. My lentil waffles were delicious. You can make waffles out of it. You can make wraps out of it. And again, it's just 2 ingredients. It's water and lentils. And it just depends on how much water you put in. And again, obviously with the waffles, you need a little baking powder and stuff. But again, lentils, that is a high protein waffle or wrap that you're paying very, very little for. And again, rice is super cheap everywhere. Honestly, Walmart, 5 pounds, $2.78. 5 pounds of rice would last a regular person probably a month. I mean, a family of 4, maybe a week or 2, depending. And if you don't already have a rice maker, you need to get a rice maker. Like I was on the, I am never going to have a rice maker. Sorry, I am never going to have a rice maker. What the heck? I can make rice in my Instant Pot, in a pot. That's all I've learned all my life. And one of our friends they were moving away and they didn't use their rice pot very often. So they offered their rice pot and I'm like, okay, I'll give it a try. I have never looked back. I know it seems like another appliance, but to me, if you're like into rice, and I do like obviously my potatoes a lot. Rice would probably be the next. Would be quinoa and then rice. Those are two kind of equal, but it cooks it absolutely perfect. So I think like my 5 top things would be my Vitamix. Not that you asked me, but I'm going to tell you. My Vitamix, my food processor, my air fryer, my Instant Pot, and my rice maker. Those are probably like the 5 things I can't live without. Just putting it out there. Okay, let's move on. Okay, and then we're going to get into nuts and seeds. So nuts can be super expensive, and we all know that. But if you're buying them in bulk, always store them in the freezer, because nuts and seeds can go rancid, and we don't want that. Not when we're paying good money for them. I think Costco is probably the best place to buy nuts and seeds. I get a big bag of probably, I don't know, 5 pounds of pumpkin seeds for $9, which is crazy. Trader Joe's actually does, I've heard Trader Joe's does have some really good pricing there. So you can check into that, but I highly recommend like Costco first. Probably Amazon would also be another good place to get your nuts and seeds, but you need to take care of them. So keep them in the freezer. I keep a little bit in, a mason jar in my kitchen, so they're handy, and then the rest always go in the freezer because you don't want them to go rancid, and they do over time. And you want to keep them fresh, so you want to be able to use them and have all that nutrients that you're actually trying to get out of your nuts and seeds. Okay, what are some other things? Okay, so flax seeds and chia seeds, 100% at Costco. If you can get a Costco membership, you will save on that over the year because they are darn pretty cheap. And again, I use chia seeds every day in chia pudding and in my overnight oats, so we go through a lot. And sometimes our Costco doesn't always have chia seeds, so last time I did get them on Amazon, but they were a little bit expensive. Also, your sunflower seeds can be a little bit cheaper, so you don't always have to go for like the really expensive things. And again, you can be using your nuts and stuff in place of meat because they're versatile. You can make taco meat out of mushrooms and walnuts are pretty cheap actually. And now I'm going to just give you some idea of how simple it is to incorporate and eat on the cheap on a plant-based vegan diet. So first thing, oatmeal. You're never going to find anything cheaper than oatmeal. I mean, it takes like a half a cup of oats to a cup of oats to make a cup or 2 cups of oatmeal to eat. That is going to fill you up, and that is going to stick with you. It has high fiber, it has protein in it, and a lot of people don't know oatmeal has protein. In fact, everything plant-based has protein. Some have more and some have less. But it has like high protein, great for iron, all that other stuff. Then you're going to go to rice and beans. Look, you can make I don't want comments down below go, I'm so tired of rice and beans. Then you're just not doing it right. You can switch up the rice, you can switch up the beans, and here's the big thing, switch up your spices. You can make it Italian one night. You can make it Greek the next night. You can make it Indian the next night. You can make it Mexican. Then again, you can swap out and mix everything up that you will never have the same way twice. So again, that's where preparing and stuff or having dried beans and stuff in the house will come in handy. But I can't even give you all the variety, but you can just use your imagination because you can eat rice and beans every night and never have the same. Pasta and marinara sauce. Go to Aldi, get a jar of their marinara sauce that has 0 fat and it's organic, and it's $1.99, and a bag of pasta, and that was going to cost you $3, $4 at the most. Add some mushrooms to it if you want, to the sauce. Cook it up. Add some more extra seasoning if you want. I always like fry up mushrooms, mix it like more meaty. 100%. Potatoes and vegetables. And again, there are so many different ways. I have my potato casserole that I make. Potatoes and gravy. I make a stew with potatoes. You can make bread with potatoes. You can make a wrap with potatoes. What else? yeah, you can make your own bread at home. It just is flour, water, and yeast. You can get a big bag of flour at Costco or anywhere else, and a thing of yeast, and you could be making flour for probably like 40 or 50 cents for a loaf of bread. And I have a recipe for an artisan type of bread that you use with, you let it go overnight, and it goes like 12, 18 hours. You don't have to do anything. It's like a no-knead bread. It is amazing and super cheap and super easy. I literally put it together the night before during a commercial. I just go and I make it real quick. And then you set it aside and you let it rise for 12 to 16 hours. And then you bake it and you have fresh, warm, delicious. Your place smells amazing. And you have this delicious bread to eat. It's great for sandwiches the next day. And then whatever you don't eat, again, there's so many things that you could do with bread. Just Google it. Especially with leftover bread, or if it goes dry or any of that other stuff. Bread pudding, absolutely one of my favorites. Oh, that reminds me. I need to do a recipe for that. Okay. And then we have, pancakes. Pancakes are also easy. You have flour, water, milk, whatever you want to use, some flavoring, little baking soda, little baking powder. Get those also at Aldi or any discount store. Super cheap. Make soups. Soups are great for leftovers. So at the end of the week, when I have a bunch of vegetables left over from my meal prep, I throw them in my homemade broth that cost me nothing to make. And I have another dish that's going to last us for 3 or 4 more days. Again, if you just plan a little bit or just start getting into the habit of doing it, it's easy. It's like nothing. It takes me nothing to throw my frozen vegetables into my Instant Pot, add a couple of bay leaves, some peppercorns, or whatever seasoning you want, or no seasoning at all, adding the water, and then push the soup and let it go. It's a do it and forget it kind of thing. You don't have to I also like my grain bowls, which are awesome. So you could use rice, quinoa. I love quinoa. The quinoa is like something that digests very well for me. So I do a lot of quinoa, but I also use quinoa, again, Costco, best price. And I also use quinoa for I make it like oatmeal. So I make like a breakfast quinoa for the morning. Super delicious. Absolutely. You can use your leftover rice and make rice pudding. Just add some plant-based milk, maybe a little bit of sugar, a little maple syrup, not sugar, but maple syrup, some vanilla, and you could add raisins if you like raisins, or whatever you want in your, you can make it like a sticky one and have mango with it. That is one of my favorite desserts, is sticky rice with a mango. Again, or make your grain bowls so that you're using your vegetables. You can have some fresh, you can have some roasted vegetables, whatever you want. Yes, what else can you do? So I have, with one large bag of flour, you can make bread, gravy, pancakes, cakes. A large container of oats will make you oat flour, which is way cheaper than buying oat flour. Will make you pancakes. There's lots of recipes where you just throw a banana, some oatmeal, and some milk, little baking powder in the blender and blend it up, and that's a pancake mix. Super simple. You can make pancakes, cooked oats, overnight oats, cookies. I make those easy cookies with just old bananas that are starting to go. I mash them up, add your oats, a little bit of vanilla. You can add a nut butter or don't add a nut butter. It works just fine. You don't even need baking soda or anything like that. It's just 3 ingredients, and then put it on a cookie sheet and cook it. You have a really good snack. You can make them chocolate. You can switch up the flavors all the time. Super easy. And there was other things. Oh yeah, another simple thing with the bread, make peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, for heck's sakes. Who doesn't like peanut butter on their bread? That's a filling something to have for your lunch or a snack. Again, we're not using any oil in our bread, so it's a go-to, but that's a little bit more processed, so it just depends on how you like to eat. I hope that this video has given you some quick tips and ideas on the fact that you can eat a plant-based diet on the cheap and I'm going to actually start showing you the prices, and I'm going to start breaking down when I start doing my meal preps on what everything costs me to actually make. And so that series will be coming soon. And guys, I am so happy you guys were here, and I so appreciate you every day. And thank you. And oh, don't forget to leave me some comments. Let me know what tip or trick was either one of my best, one that you didn't really kind of know about or just kind of forgotten about, and is going to actually maybe change your life and make your grocery bill much smaller. Until next time, guys, have a good one.